No doubt. And over to Manchester City, Paul. They never filled that gap for Julian Alvarez this summer after letting him go. It looks like Dusan Vlahovic, who only will have 1 year left on his contract come this summer, is somebody on their short list. Could you see him working with Haaland in a similar role that Alvarez played, as kind of like a two-striker situation for City in the future? Or would he be someone that they would be looking to use kind of more as a substitute?
Yeah, so you don't see him as a 10, do you, Vlahovic? I mean, where he is now, his age at Juve, he's more of a player that's similar in the way that Haaland plays. And I'm not so sure at his age now, at 24 years old, he's going to want to come to Manchester City as a replacement if Haaland doesn't play. Listen, we know about the demands on modern day footballers. We know about the amount of games that they've got, and the strongest squad generally tends to win the league. When you look at the rotation of players that are needed, Haaland physically can't play every week. It depends what players' desire and will is. I mean, Vlahovic, it's a similar situation to what Tottenham had for all these years with Harry Kane. How do you get a replacement for Harry Kane when you're going to tell the person that's coming in that he only plays when Harry Kane doesn't play? Which it's a tough sell. I don't think you can incorporate both of them in the same team. I think that'd be a tough ask. Whether they do look to replace Alvarez, they may do. But I think the more pressing matter for Manchester City, potentially this January, is the huge loss of Rodri, whether they look to address that situation in the market.
No doubt. And Pete, there are rumors that Manchester City has got a short list of players lined up for January to fill that gap that Rodri's injury has left. Any idea who those players might be and who Manchester City might make a bid for this January?
Yeah, we discussed a few potential options for City if they are looking to bring in a new midfielder in January. As I said last week, I don't think they'll panic Manchester City. They never do. They will be doing their homework on a number of targets. Couple of the interesting names that keeps cropping up is Adam Wharton at Crystal Palace. Obviously, he arrived at Palace last January from Blackburn Rovers, took to the Premier League like a duck to water, was outstanding for Palace when they went on that great run at the back end of last season, and that earned him a place in the England squad as well. He'd be somebody who would tick a lot of boxes for Man City as well. Young player, English, homegrown, and somebody who I think will only get better and better with the more exposure and experience he gets in the Premier League. One of the other names is Ederson from Atalanta, the midfielder who had a great season for the Italians last year in that run to win the Europa League last year. He was outstanding in midfield. A lot of clubs were credited with an interest in Ederson. The likes of Liverpool were also mentioned with him as well, as they look to bring in their own number 6 as well. But yeah, I think Manchester City, right now, I think Pep is working on a strategy where he can find somebody within his squad to fill in for Rodri. He obviously admitted after that draw with Newcastle last weekend that they really missed the influence of the Spanish midfielder in his starting 11, but I think they've got a plethora of options in that City team. As we've talked before, they've got Gundogan back now, Rico Lewis can play in there, they've got John Stones who could even play in that defensive midfield role, and Kovacic, who I think has had a very good start to the season as well, can definitely step up to the mantle when needed as well. So yeah, I think Manchester City, I think ideally they would like to find a solution within their own squad, but if the right player is out there in January, they have got money to spend from the Alvarez sale in the summer, and I'm sure they are looking at potential targets. But as I said, I don't think it's not normally a window where you see Manchester City lay out big money to sign new players as well. So I think they'll be hoping that Rodri can make a nice quick recovery and maybe back fit for next season, and then they don't have to worry about bringing in another midfielder.